Good evening, Master. Good evening. Good evening to our friend Norton and all the spirits of light that are here present, and also to the legion of angels for the protection of our ever-present Archangel Michael, who always gives us the security of our being very well protected. And today, Master, I am seeing there is a certain anxiety on your part in relation to the question of sexuality, which was seen and debated through our friend here, the channeler Norton, and that you consult us on this question. So, Master, in my habitual blunt manner, I, Master Saint-Germain, go straight to the point, as I do with everything, explaining the questions and issues concerning sexuality. Very good, Master. What I have to tell you is that various misinterpretations, both in favour of and against the sexual act, resulted in it becoming taboo across all ages of humanity. At one moment it is forbidden, in another moment it is endorsed, at sometimes with greater intensity and at other times with less intensity. And so we are going to clarify things. Firstly, obviously sex cannot be used in a promiscuous way. Let's say it is necessary to behave responsibly with its use. Therefore, any exaggerated form of sex is a negative element, both in the aspect of spiritual energy as well as in the physical aspect. Many diseases and much loss of life has occurred throughout the history of humanity due to unbridled sex. There has been a lot of promiscuity and a lot of sexually transferred diseases throughout history. The fact is that sex was created for pleasure, as a form of incentive to procreation. That is why sex is so enjoyable, in order that people would be filled with the sensation of desire for procreation, for the continuity of the species. This is the great truth. It is for this reason pleasure is associated with sex. What has happened is this. Due to the fact that one feels pleasure from sex, the result has been promiscuity. Many just want pleasure, and more pleasure in greater intensity and in greater abundance. Nature is very wise. In order that this matter was not universally disseminated, resulting in a degeneration into mass promiscuity, sexually transmitted diseases were linked to these matters of promiscuity. Nature itself attempted to stop this promiscuity. Hence the diseases and their consequences, even leading to death. Just like all worldly pleasure, like all pleasure on the material plane, sex became a vice. Just like drugs, just like alcohol, another way of abstracting and extracting oneself from the material world, just like the sensation of having an alcoholic drink or the sensation following the ingestion of a drug. Through its natural essence, sex also brings a sensation that detracts and provides escape from the mundane and routine. It brings ecstasy. It provides a way to leave your natural self and enables you to enter a different reality. In those few minutes, this and more happens. Hence the understanding that sex, like drugs and alcohol, is promiscuously sought after. Obviously, as spiritual beings, we cannot interfere with people's free will. Ultimately, nature itself takes care to regulate a way to creating an equilibrium, bringing balance. That said, let's go to another way of approaching in relation to sex. As we already said, the issue, principally in the beginning, was of the procreation of the species. In the beginning of humanity, this was very important. As procreators, human beings require 9 months to generate offspring. Therefore, to make procreation of the species more productive, men had sex with other women. So that really is a natural instinct for the question of the procreation. We can say that in terms of energy, the ecstasy that sex brings has increased intensity if it is done with due care, with due love, with due affection, with willing complicity between the couple. And sex being fulfilled in that way creates a bond, a very strong bond of energy. There is an exchange of energy between the couple, and this exchange of energy, when it joins the energy of love, ends up bringing a much greater pleasure, an intense pleasure, a very great pleasure. And when that is the case, all that energy that is being generated is channeled directly into the new being. Therefore, the couple who make love, who have sex in a really loving way, really have a lot of pleasure. They generate a great amount of positive energy, which will be very beneficial for the new being that is being created. That is why, when sex takes place without these patterns, without the consent of both parties, it ends up generating an energy equally as intense as the energy generated when made with love. The intensity is great, but its signal is not positive. It is a contrary signal. It is a negative signal. It is an energy that detracts, that attracts energies from the world of the astral plane. Just as there are people, or the spirits of the astral world, who dedicate themselves exclusively to accompanying or attending people who vibrate and resonate due to the consumption of drugs or alcohol, there also exist those that vibrate and resonate due to the energy of sex. This being the case, a vicious circle is created wherein the person who is the object of obsession is induced by the obsessor to seek sex, and the obsessed one each time modifies more his energy, becoming more and more in tune with these beings. It is a difficult cycle to break. Regarding the main question of our friend Master Tanaka, in relation to the issue of vital energy consumed at the time of sex, I can tell you that, as I said before, sex, when it is done in a proper way, with consent, with love, releases a very beneficial energy charge. Very beneficial. Beneficial to both parties. It is one of the most intense energies that a human being can transmit. Therefore, couples who live together in harmony, in love, may rest assured that sex will never bring negative energies. On the other hand, as already said, sex done in a promiscuous way, in a way where there is no harmony, can bring negative energies due to its drop in the energetic amplitude. Clarifying other aspects relevant to this, I can tell you that the energy emanated by sex does not have anything to do with monogamy. Otherwise, people who live in polygamy would never achieve positive energies. Consequently, those cultures where polygamy is allowed are not wrong. They should not be condemned. Monogamy is a concept created by human beings, but that does not mean that polygamous sex is negative. I understand that in certain cultures this statement is contentious, polemical and controversial, but I make it very clear to you that the issue related to energy are issues related to spirituality. Therefore, Master, I hope I have responded to your questions. You do not have to worry about sex itself, the act of sex, but rather the energy that is involved during the act. the energy resonating in love, the energy resonating in mutual consent, the energy resonating in harmony. Obviously, as I have already mentioned, for certain established cultures, it is necessary to approach this matter in the most intelligent way possible, so that none of the dogmas that have been spread and disseminated over a long period of time within the cultures are damaged. It is important, Master, it is important, friend channeler, that these matters be approached in an intelligent and sensitive way. It is not our aim to bother or cause inconvenience, whatever the situation. Obviously, for monogamous people to approach this issue of the possibility of relationships outside of their relationship, even if there were consent, harmony and love, it would not be well accepted. Therefore, although it would be true in spiritual terms, it would be the wrong approach culturally. It would be wrong in cultural terms. This is a great example of the challenges that you will face along your journey. Jesus too faced various delicate situations. Look at the great challenges he faced, such as, for example, commenting on and deterring from the sacrifice of animals to tribal groups whose culture required animal sacrifice in order to absolve them of their sins. How do you tell people who believe and were taught that God is an extremely fraught and capricious figure, a punishing, angry figure, a figure to be feared? How do you tell these people that God is nothing of the kind, that God is love? In the same way, and to the same degree, and kept to their correct and appropriate proportions, you too will face great challenges. How do you tell a Christian that their way will be easier if they follow the intuition coming from the spirits of light? How do you tell a person that they must follow their intuitions for their incarnation plan to be fulfilled, if that person does not believe in reincarnation? In the meantime, without uprooting and displacing dogmas and preconceptions, and using all your sensitivity and intelligence, these are the questions that you should be planting as seeds in people's minds. Just look at what a wonderful mission you have on your hands. Rest assured that through the form of intuitions we will gradually guide you. Follow the intuitions as you have been doing, and everything will work out well. You will be very assertive and successful in this hard work. Open your minds. Do not be the ones who will be limited by cultural issues, by dogmas, and by preconceptions. Think in a more holistic way. In the case of sex, all polytheist cultures, such as some African ones, would they be condemned? Would they be far from communication with spirituality? Obviously not, because, as we have already explained, sex can be done in a beneficial way when there is harmony, love and consent. Therefore, everyone, feel free to engage in and enjoy the sexual act with and spouses. This really will not bring any curse, quite the contrary. Much has already been said about Kundalini energy, that is the intense, pure energy released during the sensual act. Good Master, good friend Norton, I hope I have made this matter clearer in your minds. Turning now to another matter, which we discussed last week in relation to levitation issues, mainly levitation issues which we prioritized. I told you that we discussed the guidance that would be delivered to you during periods of sleep, and I ask that you have patience because your ethereal body, due to everything that's happened in your history of your lives, has its limitations. So that there is no psychic, mental damage in your bodies, It is necessary that it be treated gradually. We gave you the vision, the possibility of remembering your dreams. That has already been arranged for you. But for us to get to the point of delivering our messages to you without affecting your ethereal, mental and physical bodies, it is necessary that you have patience, so that little by little we are able to eliminate the limitations. It is clear that we need your collaboration for that. It is necessary that you have and give us the due consent. And little by little, we will intensify our actions to the point of being able to transmit our messages through dreams and make them more comfortable in relation to the issue of levitation. Be patient and believe. Have faith that soon we will be communicating through dreams and then through intuitions in a more direct way. Very good, everyone. I have already extended a lot in our session. I hope that the messages have been clear to you, and we thank Master Tanaka for the studies that are being done and for the inquiries raised. We have the maximum pleasure in clarifying all the inquiries that you have, so you are increasingly prepared for what lies ahead. May you all have a great week. So be it. Thanks be to God.